It's no surprise that students who attend school regularly have higher achievement than those students who are frequently absent. But regular school attendance counts in another huge way. Find out how when we come back.
In January, it's so nice. Walk swimming on sliding ice. To sip hot chicken soup with rice. Sipping once, sipping twice. Sipping chicken soup with rice. It ain't right, go away. Far stay home all day. And dream about my soup all day. One by one, by twice. Eating chicken soup with rice. Chicken soup with rice.
Hi, I'm Bruce Grantham, and welcome to Our Children, Our Future, a program about education in the South San Francisco Unified School District. There's no argument that it's important for learning that children attend school on a regular basis, every day if possible. Those children have higher achievement than those students who don't attend school regularly. But a child's attendance in school is important for another reason. In most districts in the state of California, school funding depends upon it. Here with me tonight is Barbara Old, Superintendent of Schools for South San Francisco Unified School District, to talk about that very practical aspect of school attendance. Barbara, welcome and thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you for inviting me back.
Barbara, how important is student attendance in South San Francisco?
Well, if you will recall when Gene Mullen was on the program several weeks ago, he talked about districts and how they're funded and the fact that there are revenue limit districts and that there are basic aid districts. In a revenue limit district, the amount of money that the district receives is directly related to the number of times children come to school. Basic aid districts, it's a little bit different. They depend more on property taxes and excess property taxes over and above what a revenue limit would be.
How does the state fund student attendance?
The state funds student attendance for a revenue limit district like South San Francisco Unified. We get approximately $5,000 a student, each student, if that student comes to school for every day in the school year.
So that's kind of like the state depositing $5,000 in the school district bank, and every day that a student is absent from school, the state makes a withdrawal on that $5,000. And in South San Francisco, how much is that every day that a student is absent?
Approximately anywhere between $26, $28 a day. And so, you know, it's very, very important that students come to school every day, not only because of the programmatic part of it, but
the learning part.
The learning part of it,
which is number one.
Because our finances are so dependent upon the money that we receive from the state for ADA or average daily attendance.
And this is especially true now in this economic climate when the state is reducing the funding for school districts.
Absolutely.
Let's take a look. We have a fact sheet that I'd like to put up on the screen for the viewers to see, and maybe we can go over that with them and take them down that fact sheet.
Sure.
Why don't you go ahead and do that?
Fact number one, South San Francisco Unified School District receives $4,900 per student each year from the state and loses about $28 each day if a student is absent. If the school district had an average number of daily absences of about 500,
which is about 5% in a school district of 10,000, which we're using for sake of argument.
That's correct. We would lose for 500 absences, we would lose $14,000 a day. We go to school 180 days, so if you multiply the 14,000 times 180 days, we would lose $2,520,000.
Nobody ever expects perfect attendance. Every student's not going to come to school every day, but this does show the importance of students coming to school every day. What about absences? I know years ago, and it wasn't that long ago, that if a student was ill or had a doctor's appointment, a medical appointment, a parent wrote a note for those reasons, the school district was reimbursed for that. Is that
up to
no longer the
about 5 or 6 years ago? The district would be reimbursed from the state if the parent excused the child, excused absences. An excused absence could be illness, injury, a doctor's appointment, dental appointment. And if the parent wrote a note and excused the child, then the district would be reimbursed from the state. That's no longer the case. In order to be reimbursed from the state, the child must be in school. Now, the child doesn't have to be in school all day. If a student had a doctor's appointment or a dental appointment, we ask the parents to let the child come to school prior to the appointment, go to the appointment, and if they can, come back, or go to the appointment and then come to school after the appointment.
Or better yet, maybe make the appointment outside the school day if possible.
If possible, but we understand that sometimes with doctors and especially orthodontists that doesn't always happen.
Right. 3 years ago, the school district entered into a partnership with the City of South San Francisco and the Chamber of Commerce to mount a positive attendance campaign and a marketing campaign to get parents to realize how important it was for them to send their children to school every day if possible. How'd that come about?
Well, we were looking in the district, we were looking for additional revenue. As money becomes tighter and tighter, you always look for other ways to bring money into the district. So we had looked around the state to see if there was a model program out there, and we found a program in Vallejo that that we patterned our positive attendance program after. We are very, very fortunate in South San Francisco that we have the city that supports the school district and our business community that really supports our school district. And so those people coming together, we formed the partnership, and we've been very successful in improving our attendance over the last 3 years.
If you don't mind, I'd like to explain that plan a little bit.
Sure.
Instead of being the interviewer, I'll be the interviewee, kind of.
Sure. Bruce, why don't you go ahead and explain that plan to our viewers?
Because I actually chaired that community task force, and very quickly we just came up with a marketing plan, and every marketing plan has slogans, and we came up with the slogans: "It's cool to be in school," "Miss school, miss out," "Dollars and cents," "Attend school every day," and "Learn more, earn more." And the committee raised funds. South San Francisco Foundation for Youth was instrumental. Genentech, Cell Genesis, McDonald's, First National Bank, Ceremony Center, Parlay Enterprises, Sierra Point Credit Union, many more, up to $25,000, $30,000. We started by sponsoring a student poster contest, and students were to use those slogans and come up with posters that kind of expressed it. This one says, "It's cool to be in school." And from the posters and the various drawings that the students made and submitted, we came up with a design for school banners. And I think we've got some slides of those, if we could bring those up. "It's cool to be in school" is a banner that hangs on all of our elementary schools. "Miss school, miss out" is our middle school banner. And "Learn more, earn more" makes sense for high school students, I think. And "Dollars and cents, attend school every day" is at our high schools. We also designed some street banners along El Camino Real at the intersections all the way from See's Candy up to Kaiser Hospital during the first month of every school year. Those street banners display those slogans with school symbols in both English and Spanish for our community. It was a very successful campaign. I think that parents are much more aware, and students and schools are much more aware of the importance of students attending school every day. What can parents do to help, Barbara?
Well, they need to send their children to school every day. That's the main thing. Avoid taking vacations during the school year. In fact, parents have an obligation to send their children to school every day. That's part of parent responsibilities. If the student does remove the parent removes the child from school during the school year, they can always make a contribution to the district to make up for that lost ADA.
And we've had parents do that.
Yes, we have. We have had several parents do that for us. And the main thing, I think, is just keep in mind that students need to go to school every single day. Our attendance, our percentage, we run around 97% attendance every day.
Positive attendance.
Positive attendance, and that's good. That's probably one of the highest in the county.
So the key is to reduce daily absences.
Absolutely.
And I think the message is loud and clear. Thank you, Barbara, for being on with me in this segment, and I hope we've had a little bit more of an impact in the community with this information. Reading ability is the primary determiner of student success in school. With television, MTV, and video games competing, what are schools doing to get students excited about reading? Stay with us, and we'll see.
January is so nice. Walk swimming on the sliding ice.
Prudential California Realty is pleased to support the South San Francisco Unified School District. With several offices located throughout the South Bay, we help home buyers realize their dreams of ownership and sellers maximize their home investment. Prudential California Realty is a longtime partner with education, having created the Education Foundation in 1992, which provides grants to teachers throughout Northern California. Prudential California Realty, your partner in real estate.
You've always been like a son to me, Mikey. And that's why I find it unfortunate that we're in this little situation here. No, don't do it. Don't do it. You're gonna pay for this. Peninsula TV, how will it affect you?
There is a lot of pressure on schools to ensure that students score well on state tests in reading and math. That's not easy when so much leisure time is spent watching TV, MTV, surfing the computer, or playing video games. Elementary schools in South San Francisco are getting students to read at or above grade level with the help of the Accelerated Reader Program. With me are teachers Jeannie Lindberg and Chris Stone, both fifth grade teachers at Bury Elementary School. Ladies, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Chris, what is the Accelerated Reader Program?
Accelerated reading is an individualized, computerized program that's from Renaissance Learning Company. And what it does is, there's two components to this program. One are quizzes that are loaded into the computer, and the second component is books that are all labeled at a reading level. Each child picks out a book at their reading level, reads the book, and takes a simple 10-question quiz on what they've just read.
On the computer?
On the computer. The computer scores it and tracks all the data into the computer so that teachers can use it to track what students are reading.
And it gives information from teachers that's probably a lot more important for teachers in terms of their entire class than it is just for that individual student. True, isn't that true?
You can see what books they're interested in, you can see their reading levels, how many books they've read. It's a lot of information to track students.
From the Accelerated Reader?
Yes.
Jeannie, what did the reading program at Bury look like before the Accelerated Reader, and how successful were reading programs prior to this?
Well, we had a pretty successful program, we felt, but there's always room for improvement. And when we, would sit there and analyze what our kids were doing, we thought, well, there was probably some room for improvement. And it was a pretty traditional program, except for the fact that we would send home a reading log every night, and the parents would sign the reading log if the child read for 30 minutes, silently at night. And so some of the kids would take a whole month to read one book, and then other times you might have one child who had read like 5 or 6 books for the whole month. But the problem was there was no way to know if they understood what they were reading. We knew their vocabulary was increasing because they were reading, but we didn't know if they were comprehending what they were reading. So one of my old students came one day, and they were at Altaloma Middle School, and they were really excited about this new program Altaloma was doing. It was called Accelerated Learning. And they came in, they said, they'd read a book, and they'd go and take a test, and they would get points for it. And we thought this would be something that we would really like to do, because these kids were so excited, and we really thought it'd be great because you could score them, and you could find out if they were really comprehending what they were reading. So we went to one of Renaissance Learning's workshops and decided this is what we wanted to do, and we got our principal to fund it, and just kind of jumped into it, just bought the program, set it up in individualized classrooms, and it's just kind of taken off and expanded from there.
And with the reading program you were doing before, there was a little bit of an accountability problem too, wasn't there? Because you really didn't have any control over it, because it was all just basically being signed off on logs. And
so you didn't, but you didn't know if they understood, if they really read it.
Right.
Or
first of all.
First, if they read it, or did they understand what they read? I mean, because sometimes kids, we've now learned since we started the program that kids can read a book, and they think they understand it, but once they sit at a computer and take a test, they may not really understand it. So some of the components that we do in using this program is like, if we have a child that can't pass a certain level test, we'll sit down with them. And, you know, like one student I found out when I sat down with him and he read the test questions, well, he read A and B and then stopped at B because he thought B was the right answer, where he didn't continue on to C and D and choose. So, you know, part of it was theirs teaching test-taking skills. And sometimes they aren't reading the questions correctly, or they, you know, what are other things they might?
They're reading for words, they're not reading for content. They think they've understood the story, but they've only been reading the words. They haven't been able to paint pictures in their head. And I think that's one of the important things that we've learned from this program, is it's made us reevaluate our teaching strategies of reading. We've decided that we taught too much the literacy concepts and not how to teach reading comprehension and how to measure it.
How has the program evolved over the years? You know, you've had it for about 5 or 6 years. How has the program evolved?
Well, it started off in individual classrooms. We then networked our computers so that all 4th and 5th grade could use the program. And just recently, the district has put it on a server so it has access, all the elementary schools, high schools, and middle schools have access to this program. When we first started the program, the kids were super excited about reading, but we didn't have enough books for them to keep reading. And we have got space in our school library. We got an aide who could help the kids pick out books and check them out during recess time. And it just has kind of worked from there. We did realize that most kids don't read just for the sake of reading. So we had to get a little creative and, you know, dangle a few carrots out in front of their noses to keep them interested in reading.
So some rewards and recognition.
Some rewards and recognition.
Like what we do is sometimes we'll do, for my group, is I have a more challenging group, and so they'll read for pizza parties. So if they've read so many books or so many pages, then they get invited to a pizza party at the end of every month. And some of the students will come back and say the only reason they ever read in my class was for the parties. And it was kind of interesting because when we had our last pizza party, and that was just for the whole 5th grade class, that my students had read more books than some of the kids that were in the regular...
Top readers.
The top readers, yeah. You know, they're really reading.
What do students and parents think of this program?
Well, kids who like to read love the program. They do. Even kids who may not enjoy reading can get involved with incentives. They'll be very proud of themselves by how many books that they've read. We asked our kids before we came just to ask them, you know, their opinions on them, and a lot of them were so surprised at how much they enjoy reading now, that they read books that they would never have read before if there wasn't accelerated reading. Parents like the program because I can print out a computer report, send it home weekly, monthly, listing every book their child's read, how many questions they got right, the percentage they've passed, their reading levels. So parents are now involved in their child's reading comprehension. They understand what a reading level is. They understand like how we want to work together to bring their child to grade level.
So this is the program at Bury that's not going to go away. This is a key part of your reading program.
Yes.
And is spreading to the other elementary schools in the school district?
Well, everybody right now has access to it. So and at this point, I would say every school can log on and take a test on the textbook. So all the textbook quizzes are now all on the computer. If they want to go in more depth and do what we do with the books, then they have to invest in the books and the quizzes. But I know right now everybody has access to it, and I believe every school was given a certain amount of quizzes to start off with, and then you have to, you know, invest the initial.
And we have to close, but the good news too, and I wanted to mention, is these books are also available in the South City Library, so students can go pick them up there.
Yes.
So that's good news. So you're doing good things with reading, and continued good luck with it, and thank you very much for sharing that with us. Well, when the football season is pretty much over for the 49ers by the time you hear this, and that's probably a good thing. They didn't do too well on the field. But one 49er scored very highly with 7th graders at Parkway Heights Middle School. You won't want to miss our Spotlight segment coming up.
January is so nice. While swimming on sliding ice.
If you live on the peninsula, there's only one place to get the latest news on business, sports, politics, education, and your community. Peninsula TV, Channel 26, the Peninsula and South Bay's Emmy Award-winning programming resource. For more information or for a programming schedule, go to PenTV.tv or call us at 650-637-1936. Peninsula TV, your community programming channel.
Real Estate with Bobby Decker is for anyone who owns a home or aspires to do so. Everything that is important to or an interesting facet of home ownership will be covered by our program. Please join us. You won't want to miss Real Estate with me, your host, Bobby Decker.
Emmy Award-winning Peninsula TV provides a large multifunctional TV studio and video production facility, state-of-the-art equipment, and affordable prices. Let our professional staff and crew produce your company or organization's next video, or create your own TV series and air it on one of the Bay Area's largest community cable channels. Contact Peninsula TV at pentv.tv or call 650-637-1936.
Hi, and welcome back. We're going to do something a little bit different in the Spotlight segment tonight. We have a video coming up that was produced by students at South San Francisco High School, and it's a very interesting video. And I want to preface the video with just some comments about professional athletes and their place in society as role models for young people. You know, we hear a lot nowadays that several star professional athletes, whether they're pro football players, basketball, baseball, whatever, really feel like they don't have a responsibility to young people as role models, that they didn't sign up to do this, they're just entertainers like anybody else. And so they feel like they have no responsibility to young people, and they just don't see that as part of their job as a professional athlete. Well, there's one professional athlete that visited Parkway Heights Middle School in late October. And it was really refreshing to see how he interacted with students at Parkway Heights Middle School in South San Francisco. Truly a young man of real good character and really enjoyed being with the students and understands what it is to be a role model for students. Brandon Lloyd, a second-year wide receiver with the 49ers from Illinois, visited Parkway Heights Middle School as part of a nationwide program called the Take an NFL Player to School Day, co-sponsored with J.C. And J.C. sponsored this contest in the 32 markets where there are pro football teams. And a young 7th grader from Parkway Heights Middle School, Joseph Montez, was the lucky winner. And we're going to see a video now about that visit of Brandon Lloyd with his winner, Joseph Montez, at Parkway Heights Middle School.
On Tuesday, October 26, a very lucky boy found out that he won a contest in which he got to bring an NFL player to school with him. The day began by Lloyd picking up Joseph Montez, a 7th grader at Parkway Heights Middle School, in a stretched limo. Lloyd and Montez arrived at school and walked around before attending an assembly with 270 students. There, Lloyd spoke to the kids about the sport and answered a few questions.
You know, how important school was and what I need to do, because there's no way I would have got to this level without school. You know, because there's so many processes. You have to go through elementary school. You have to go through middle school. You have to graduate from high school. You have to go to college, and then you can go to the NFL. It's a whole process about that. And you know, I learned a long time ago when I was about your guys' age that I wanted to do television. So I mean, I was always the goofy kid. I was always the kid, you know, showing off in front of the home video camera or commentating my brothers in the backyard playing basketball or football. And so, I mean, so naturally, I picked television. You know, so from 7th grade on, I was involved in, you know, show choir, the student news, doing plays, theater, everything, you know, from 7th grade on to college. You know, I even did a couple plays in college. So I knew I always wanted to be in the entertainment field. So that's what I chose to do. And that's the great thing about going to college, is because anything you want to do in your life, you can go to college and basically practice that. You know, and so that was the important thing that I learned about school, and the things that you can do with your life, and the things that you could do with school. You know, you can actually go to school and learn to be whatever you want to be when you grow up.
After the assembly, our own Oksana Sherwa got a chance to ask Mr. Lloyd a few questions.
What do you think is the biggest stereotype kids have about football players nowadays?
That we're money hungry, immature, self-centered individuals, you know. But I try to prove that wrong, you know, when people meet me. And you know, I just try to, you know, uphold my family name and try to make my parents proud every time they see something with my name on it, my face on it, or me talking on it. You know, I just try to represent, you know, my family in a good way.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think that you were chosen to participate in this contest?
I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. The kids like me, maybe, I don't know. But I'm glad I was chosen, you know, because I think it's pretty much my duty as a professional athlete to try to touch as many lives as I can, and that's what I try to do.
Okay. What obstacles have you had to face and that you got through, and you're like looking back on them now?
Well, my injury, that's you know, my injury in college, you know, it really taught me a lot about being a person, mm-hmm. you know, and having other career goals besides football and besides, you know, the path I was going on. So it showed me a lot. It taught me a lot, and I grew up a lot.
Joseph, what did you do to enter in this contest, and why do you think you won?
I went to JCPenney's and I was buying slacks, and I seen a sign-up form and I signed it, and then I had my grandma sign it, and then we sent it to New York, and they pulled it, and I don't know why I won. But
After our interview, Lloyd took Joseph's second period class to play some catch.
Good hang time.
got to ride in a limo for my first time.
Thank you very much for watching. Again, I'm Oksana Sherba, reporting live from Parkway Heights Middle School. This is Channel 26, Our Children, Our Future.
Hope you enjoyed that. Brandon Lloyd gets it, his responsibility to young people, and he was very well received at Parkway Heights Middle School. I want to thank my student video crew from South San Francisco High School for doing that video segment, and we're going to see more from them in the future. Thanks again to my guests, Barbara Oles, Jeannie Lindberg, and Chris Stone. Remember, in South San Francisco, we know our children are our future. See you next time.